Hey guys, it's Beck or Beck the Noir on Instagram. I did another wig in the past 2 weeks. Kakyoin from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. His wig took me very, very long. It's nowhere near perfect yet. I'm probably going to restyle it at least once or twice, but here is the time lapse slash tutorial that I kind of did for it. I hope you guys enjoy. Thank you. Alright guys, so this is a real cheap $10 Amazon wig that I ordered for Kakyoin a couple months ago. So I just start out brushing it. I start out with the bangs because it's my favorite part, so I start teasing them. I know Kakyoin has those weird kind of like hair noodly things that isn't his actual hair noodle, so I went through and I teased the bejeebus out of these. I went like way harder than I normally do on these bangs. Then a spritz of hairspray, and then I used my hair straightener to heat them up to get those fibers all nice and destroyed so that way they could defy some gravity. I went through and I did a couple of these a couple extra times just because I know I wanted them a little bit more gravity defying. She looks a little crazy right now, but as I brush them out, you can kind of see the extra volume and such that this gives. So totally worth all the effort. I got a really long wig, way too long for Kakyoin, because I had a plan for those extra long like pieces. I didn't really have a plan when approaching this wig. I just kind of knew the basics of what I wanted to do with them. I always try to order a wig that is too long, just so that way I have extra fibers to work with in case I need it, instead of buying extra wefts. Unless it's like a super long wig, like how I did with Toko last time, where I used two separate wigs. So I took it, and there was so much bang there that I had to rubber band it up into a little ponytail, and I started doing the long sections. I debated on cutting the hair before or after I did the long sections, but I figured it would be way easier to tease and hairspray and heat it up if I did the long sections first. So I basically just go through and do the same thing that I normally do. I tease, I hairspray with my non-glue based hairspray, and heat it up. You can use a blow dryer for the heating up process. I don't have a blow dryer, so I use a hair straightener. You gotta work with what you got. So I attempted to brush all of my teased sections out with a comb, and you could see I was struggling way, way bad. So I ended up getting a hairbrush. I know a lot of people say not to use a hairbrush on longer wigs and to only use combs because you lose more fibers that way. That's not really the case in my personal experience, so I go through and I end up using a hairbrush, and it makes it 10 times easier. So I just go through and brush it all out. So then with Kakyoin, he ended up taking a couple days for me to style because he was a bigger styling project than I thought that he was originally going to be. But here she is all floofy. I take multiple sections of hair and I rubber band them. I make sure that they're even. And then we got that up close shot to show me just clipping off that end hair with the rubber bands to keep them all together. And I just go through and clip off the long pieces I didn't get rubber banded. Brush out the wig, cut some more. So I divide the bangs up into a little part in the back because Kakyoin has a part down the back of his head. Rubber band what I'm using for bangs back up into the bangs, and I just start trying to figure out how I'm gonna do this. The sides and the back of his wig gave me a lot of issues because I did cut straight across with like the blunt cut to get the extra wefts to use, and that makes it super difficult because I don't have those layers to work with. So I attempt to make the hair a little bit more gravity defying to like the extra teasing, the extra hairspray, extra heating to see if that helps a little bit. It doesn't, so I just go through and I just start chopping at the hair because Kakyoin's side hair is not that long. It is not a straight or cross cut, and I can't make spikes with no layers. So I just take my scissors and I just start hacking away. So I take them and I cut straight down the hair, across the hair side, and it creates layers, so that way I can actually work with them to get them spiked. And here's me attempting another spike, and I think I ended up hating all of these spikes and brushing them out entirely. I had to brush out the entire wig multiple times. The side pieces of the sides and back of the wig took so long that I ended up only showing you guys how I did one side of it, and I did the other side off camera. So yeah, it was a little difficult. But yeah, so here's just me attempting a bunch of spikes. I kept on trying to shape them, kept on hairspraying them, kept on trying to get them to stand up, anything to get them to work, and I wasn't really liking the look of it so much, so I brushed them all out. And I just tried again, and really in wig styling, that's what you gotta do. And then this was me just taking hairspray and roughing up the hair, and I'm kind of letting the hair show me where the spikes want to be. I know a lot of times in like sewing, when you drape a fabric, it's like the fabric's way of showing you what it wants to be sewn into. I've been watching a lot of Project Runway, so that's what I've been hearing them say at least. So when I just can't figure out how to spike a wig, I just take hairspray and I spray the hair real lightly and just run my fingers through it in the direction that I want it to go in. And it kind of starts making the spikes that I want to do. And it kind of gives me a direction to go with the hair, where to cut, that sort of thing. Kind of shows me where I need to be working. So here's me working a little bit more on the back. The back was still way too long, not as many layers as I needed. And here's both sides when I finally got them done. So then I can start working on the bangs. So the bangs were a little bit on the difficult side. I didn't really have much of a plan going at them. I did style a Joseph wig who has kind of similar bang structure to Kakyoin. So I just took a piece of hair and I hairsprayed it straight up. And then I started to just slowly bend it down. This was me trying to get the little waves that he has in those front pieces. It wasn't really working out too well. I just had to play with the hair for a while to get it to work. I had to use my clips to kind of keep it where I wanted it to go. That sort of thing. The clips ended up being too heavy, so then I gave up on that. I just kind of kept on heating, hairspraying, playing, heating, hairspraying, playing. And I started to get the shape that I liked. It was sticking way too far out from the head though, so I tried heating it to bend it a little bit more, and it wasn't getting as close to the head as I wanted. So I took, this was me just playing around with it. I took bobby pins and I stuck bobby pins through the front and the back of that and just let it hold until they completely dried and it completely cooled off. For most of the rest of the styling of this. Had those weird bobby pins. And I just did the exact same thing on this second bang. So heating, cooling, it ended up initially being too far out from the head. Playing with the hair. I originally had the wave go in the wrong direction, so I had to fix that. And then my bobby pins to kind of keep them closer to the head. I know it looks really stupid from the side, but I really tried to fix that. And then these side pieces, the original piece of reference that I was looking at for Kakyoin was different than the one I was using the second half of my Kakyoin wig. So, of course, Araki has nothing the same in like two separate pieces of work. Nothing's the same. So I had to change what I was doing with those side pieces I was holding out on the whole time, and I just kind of added them to the side to hide the front wefts. So that way I wouldn't have to add so much hair afterwards. And I did the same exact thing with the ones on this side. Just kind of trimmed it up, put it in the back, used it to hide those the wefts in the front of the wig where my ears kind of would be. And I finally took those bobby pins out to see if they were holding, and they did. I just wanted to heat that one up a little bit more because the shape of the second one wasn't really as good as the first one as I thought. And then here's where keeping those little ponytail bits was really important. So I put a ton of hot glue on it. Wasn't enough hot glue, but I made sure as much of the stub of that hair was covered in hot glue as possible. And then I went through and I did some more when it was on the wig, and I let it sit there and dry. And then I very carefully cut that rubber band out. And then I kind of did the same thing that I did with the bangs. So I hairsprayed it straight up. It wasn't sticking as far up as I wanted. So then I made a base of teased wig in the general shape that I wanted, and I kept a outside layer of the wig out, so then that way I could cover it with a nice smooth looking piece. So you heat it. The teasing pieces ended up being a little bit too wide, so I had to kind of bundle them more so together. I covered them with that hair so it looks smooth, and I started heating it up to get those waves that I wanted in it. Light coats of hairspray, and you have a noodle, a hair noodle. I just went through and teased up or cleaned up the bottom a bit. Made sure that there's a nice little twist at the bottom because I really like the twist. And then I took some extra hair and hot glued some more on the top, so that way you couldn't see the hot glue from the top, because I'm quite short. There are quite a few people who are taller than me who'd be able to see the giant hot glue blob on the top of the head. So I just hot glued some extra hair down on the top, with the hot glue only being underneath and not going with a layer over top. Trimmed the extra, hairsprayed the other extra bit, and laid it flat against the noodle. I just went through and did some finishing touches. I added a little bit of hair right there on the wig, just so that way it covers up that little bit of wig that was, or the wig cap that was still not covered there. Added more hot glue because I didn't add enough, and then I figured I would tuck it underneath one of the spikes, and trimmed it down, tucked it underneath the spike, hairsprayed it, made a nice little cute spike out of it, and added a little extra hot glue, made sure I wasn't sticking to the wig head when it cooled off, so that way I didn't burn my finger, and add some more hot glue right there, and finished up that last little spike. I went and did some cleanup, and that's the wig.